cannot not communicate. All behavior is communication, and we cannot not behave. We're people, we're humans. Even a person who doesn't want to communicate, who sits huddled with arms folded and head down, communicates that he's trying to avoid communication. By nature, communication is a system of behavior. And because different cultures often demand very different behaviors, intercultural communication is more complex than communication between persons of the same culture. All communication takes place in the matrix of culture. Therefore, difference in culture is the primary obstacle to intercultural communication. Emblems result from specific cultural, social, or work learning. They're nonverbal acts, and they have a direct verbal translation, usually consisting of a word or two, with a precise meaning that's known by all or most of the culture. It's deliberately used to send a particular message, which is instantly understood. Illustrators are movements that follow and supplement the pattern of speech. They closely relate to a moment-to-moment basis as to what is being said and how it's being said. They're commonly known as gestures. Emblems in that they're peripheral and not focal to the intended communication. And like emblems, the speaker uses them intentionally. They may augment, contradict, or substitute for verbal communication. Their general function, however, is augmenting. Adapters are acts originally learned in an attempt to manage and cope with emotions, or to carry out certain bodily actions. But these actions, such as mustache tweaking, head scratching, or eye rubbing, they're usually performed in their entirety only in private or in public when the person's alone. Adapters can be either self-adapters or object adapters, and in self-adapting, the hands touch the person's body. Specific self-adapter types are associated with specific attitudes. So, object adapters occur when the person plays with or manipulates some object or prop, such as a paperweight, cigarette lighter, pencil, eyeglasses. Self-adapters are associated with anxiety, guilt feelings, hostility, and suspiciousness. So what type of gestures have you used? And really, more specifically, what gestures have been done to you? Let's look at a couple. The thumbs up in the US and Canada, that gesture is positive. It says everything's okay, or you're doing really well. But in most of Europe, Australia, and West Africa, it's seen as a rude gesture. And if you gave a business colleague the friendly thumbs up in Bangladesh, Nigeria, and Australia, it's interpreted as the not-so-polite way of saying, get stuffed. Making a big round O or a ring with your hand. Well, in Canada and the US, that's a sign of everything's okay. In Japan and Korea, it traditionally signifies money. And among Arabs, it's usually accompanied by a baring of teeth and signifying extreme hostility. Well, in Tunisia, the same gesture means, I'll kill you. And the same gesture is an obscene gesture among some Latino countries. In France, it means zero or worthless. The OK sign used in North America closely resembles an offensive Brazilian hand gesture that has significance and it's considered vulgar. The V hand gesture, well, it's commonly used to denote peace or victory. Although in Australia it often means 2 beers, please. In France it means 2. In Russia it's used to denote victory, but it is not commonly used, while in Turkey it's not used at all. In the US it generally means peace or 2, but it's widely associated with the hippie culture. And although according to which way your hand is facing, you may be offending someone. As in Great Britain, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, turning your hand to the back and making that V symbol, it's offensive. It's a mistake made by Winston Churchill. Pointing at a person. Well, doing that in the US doesn't carry a negative connotation, but in China, it's a sign of rudeness. Americans point to objects and people with their index finger all the time. Directions are given by pointing one direction or another. Germans point with the little finger, and the Japanese with the whole hand, palm up. In much of the Arab world, pointing is thought to be an offensive gesture, and the Navajo use their chin, and in most of Asia, pointing the index finger at a person is considered rude. The middle finger. Well, that's probably one of the most universal gestures and means basically the same thing anywhere you go. In some Arab and Mediterranean countries, they replace the middle finger with the index finger, but the motion and meaning are basically the same. So if you're looking to offend somewhere, anywhere in the world, this one should do the trick.